So, you want to buy a Mazda Speed 6. You want to be different than everybody else, getting the Speed 3s, the WXs, the Evos, all those, and you want to do something a little different. Well, today, this is going to be the buyer's guide for your Mazda Speed 6s. What do's and don'ts, what to look out for, what to do when you're buying the car, and what the car can offer you. So follow me over here and let's get started. You may be asking yourself, okay, why do I want to buy one of these cars? What's so cool about these cars anyways? And I want to give you step-by-step guide. Now, obviously, I do have a bias on these cars, but I do also know goods and bads to look out for. I know this car isn't for everybody, but there might be things that, might turn you off completely from this car, or something that you guys could live with, or something that will completely turn you on to these cars. So that's what I'm here to help you out with. So first off, I need to talk about the hood. Now this isn't a huge thing, it's not do or die, but I also have to know, if you're someone that's gonna be lifting this hood up and down, it's a little heavier than you might think. Also, that does lead me into other things, such as if you're also looking into aftermarket support, the front mount intercooler might not be the best option for you. Reason why is that the airflow on these hoods are shit. They're complete garbage. They don't have any hood scoop like a Subi would, or like some of the Gen 2 Speed 3s will. So that's also something you might want to look into. So getting a front mount intercooler, heavy hoods, other things like that are some little things you might look into. Now, obviously there's things that you always have to look into when buying a new car, such as the oil, such as the coolant, such as noise, and other things like that. But what's specified into the Mazda Speed 6 is some people might not know, and some people might not realize that commonly go out on these cars. So let's get into that. So basic things that usually go out on these cars are turbos, the engine and tranny mounts, and sometimes the engines and transmissions themselves are kind of not that reliable. So it's not the most reliable car. They're not your Toyota, they're not your Honda. Just to keep you warned, I've already gone through an engine on this car. I didn't treat it the best, but I have heard other people that have gone through engine and have gone through transmissions. The transmissions on these cars, yes, are made of glass. I'm already gonna go looking into a new one because second gear is gonzo for me. I don't have a second gear whatsoever. That's kind of crappy. Also, the other things, the transmission and engine mounts, you guys will be able to tell when you drive the car and you go into shifting and it feels just clunky and there's noises coming when you get started, that means your engine and transmission mounts might go off. Now, if you look, I'll show you, it's the passenger transmission mount. I'll show you where that is. Sometimes those explode and make a huge mess on your car. That is a big sign too. In my opinion, engine and tranny mounts aren't do or die on getting a car or not getting a car. That's just kind of my sort of thing. They're not that hard to replace and really easy to find and really easy to replace. So I wouldn't say do or die, but that's something you should look out for as well getting those cars. Turbos, on the other hand, are something that you might be do or die on getting this car or not. If the turbo's already been replaced, I wouldn't worry too much about it. The stock turbos on these are the KO4s. I don't hate them. Some people aren't the biggest fan of them. I don't mind mine a whole lot. But one thing that you should look out for is if you ever do this, pull the car out and give the turbo a little wiggle. If you have what's called shaft play, I might veer away from that. If you have a lot of shaft play, because mine does, I would kind of veer away from that. And maybe either, if you have enough money, replace the turbo soon, or just go and look at another speed, because obviously shaft play is not that good. Also, when you turn the car on, if you look on the back and you see smoke coming out and you're boosting and you're seeing smoke come out, I would also veer away from that too, because that means that's not good. A smoky turbo means the turbo's about to go out soon. I would veer away from it as fast as you can, just to keep you warned. Those are things that go out on these cars. If you're looking into aftermarket support on these cars, it's not the easiest, but there are things out there. But something that you should always look into doing first is getting a high pressure fuel pump. Otherwise, you will be running lean, and that is not good for your car whatsoever. High pressure fuel pumps are super important in getting these cars because you never want your car to run too lean. That's not good for the car at all. So high pressure fuel pump, if you're looking to aftermarket support, would be the first thing. Cork Sport makes a good one. Autotech, I think it is, makes a good one, and you can really get them anywhere from, I think Cobb even makes some, and you can go check those out. Those are really important to get on these cars because that's just the first step anybody would recommend you do. If you're doing a downpipe, if you want to do any sort of thing, high pressure fuel pump has to be first, and that's only if you're doing aftermarket, just to keep you warm. Being that these are older cars, they only made these cars in 2006 and 2007. So the downside is there are some old parts. I tried doing the CV axles at home for this and it was impossible. Everything was so hard to get off and break off. It's something that you should look out for, but it's just something that you should be aware of as well. If you don't have air tools or anything sort of like that, I would kind of watch out for it. Just be careful. You don't want to be breaking things or anything like that. So just know what you're doing and be careful with that. And lastly, under the hood, there is limited space under the hood. So if you're kind of an impatient person like me, be careful when working on these cars. I'm only saying this is for aftermarket support. The turbos and everything else like that is kind of hard to get to. Spark plugs are nothing for these cars. Everything else is, you know, it just kind of depends on how much you want to work on your car and what you're looking out for, because if not, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. Now, as far as the interior goes on these cars, there's only a couple things to go over, but it actually is kind of important and some people look for a lot in these sort of cars. First off, there's the seats. Now, there's different kinds of seats and with different kinds of cars. Certain versions of the Speed6, you're just gonna get the cloth interior and it's pretty basic, but most of them have the leather interior seats, which is really, really nice. Unfortunately, some of the seats like to rip, and I'm the one that got both seats torn on both sides, passenger and driver. So that's just something to look out for. Sometimes that is a common mistake that happens on these cars. There's very few options as aftermarket seats go for these cars, but you can find them on eBay or people parting these cars out. They're all over the place. Now, if you're lucky enough to not have any rip seats, then go for it. It's awesome. Just make sure you're keeping good care of them. Also, you have a stock radio on these cars, and now there are aftermarket radios that you can get. Unfortunately, there is no aux cord that comes with these cars. Now, there's one in the back, so you have to take the radio out and plug the aux cord in the back and then run it through. You can do that, but as far as aftermarket radios go, there's few, and there's also one of the aftermarket dash kits that you get are really expensive, which is unfortunate, but they do have them. They do come with Bose audios. Now, if you guys have seen in my other videos, I talk about them a lot. It does have a sub in the back. Mine is blown. I'm not sure if that's a regular thing for most of these cars. Mine in the back is blown, but on all four doors, there are Bose audio that come in all four sides, which is nice, and they sound very crystal clear, which is awesome. And you don't want to hate on them, and they work really well. I haven't really had a reason to need aftermarket speakers, which is really nice. I remember when I was first looking for a car, I asked for something that's fast, but also when you get in it really feels nice and luxury. And it's not like a Mustang that's a super muscle car, and it's not like a Subi that is just super JDM. So these cars are really cool because you can feel nice grabbing the steering wheel. It's leather, sitting in the car, that's really nice, and it does have a lot of those nice features that you would feel in a luxury sort of car. Now, it's no Cadillac, but it is something that feels nicer than your average stock, Honda Civic or WRX or anything sort of like that. So that's a really cool thing, especially with how cheap these cars are, that it comes with leather interior with some of them, and it just feels nice to be in these cars. Now, if you're someone that cares about their car, I do recommend you get an access port. Reason why is that you can monitor a lot of things that you can't monitor on most of your cars. Cool thing is that since these cars are very rare and they're limited, they still made access port from Cobb. You can check coolant temperatures, you can check boost, you can check knock retardant, you can check all those things, which is really important to know on these cars. They're $650, so they are a little higher for some of those people to get, but they're important and it's nice to know. So that's something I do suggest if you really care about these cars. Now, for the little things on these cars, there's quite a lot of room to hold your stuff in these cars. Just up front, there's 6 different ways that you can hold many different things, which is really, really cool, especially for an older car. There's 2 cigarette lighters in the front, and it's just really awesome to know that you can have more space for those who have like a bunch of stuff. There's the side doors, there's 2 compartments in the center, and then there's one little compartment up front for like the cigarette ashtray or whatever you want to call that sort of thing. Also, the little thing on top, on the dash, those do tend to break a lot, so if it's broken on yours, don't be upset. I'm lucky enough to have mine not broken, but a lot of people do have theirs broken in their Speeds. It's not the end of the world, but it is a cool little thing to like hold sunglasses and stuff like that. And then one more little thing, the keys on these things are really annoying. I have like one of the little keys, I'll show you. This is the size of the key for this car. This is a house key. Seems pretty normal, and this is the size of the key for the car, and it's pretty annoying. Some people have different keys from mine, but the key situations for these cars are kind of funky. Some people have like keyless entry and they have like a little credit card thing, and I have one of those. Mine broke and it's so hard to keep track of, and that's where the key fits. So it's kind of hard. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's not really do or die if you want the car or not. Now, overall, as it goes together, of course I would recommend to buy one of these cars, but there are things that you have to look out for. If you're looking in the aftermarket world, there are things that are kind of harder to do than most cars. You can type up anything online for some cars and you just get hundreds and thousands of different options. These cars are a little harder to get and a little harder to find. Also, the aftermarket support is a little harder, such as like if you want a carbon fiber hood, good luck. It's gonna be impossible. You wanna take this thing out, good luck. It's gonna be expensive, but it's something that you have to love and you have to really wanna get into. These are a great first car because they're cheap, they're kind of reliable in a way, but if you're trying to get to point A to point B, excellent. This car will get you to point A, will get you to point B, and you'll have a great time doing it, listening to some good music, hanging out. It's quick, especially if even stock. I mean, I have no reason to talk because I'm really aftermarket, but I mean, as far as those go, it's completely up to you with what you want to do. So that's about it as far as I go. Let's head back though. Well guys, I think you can tell. It's pretty obvious. Give me 1 second here. I don't have any clear or obvious preference or favor for Mazda. I don't want to be saying, you know, buy a Mazda Speed, because I obviously don't really care that much about them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no big deal, you know. And Mazda as itself, let me get something for you. I want to make it very clear, nothing to do with Mazda. I have no favorite to them or anything else like that. So hopefully I made that pretty clear. But all jokes aside, I love these cars and they're awesome. Obviously, if I were to recommend to buy it or not, I will say yes. But it is important to have a buyer's guide because some of those things will turn people off completely for these cars, and other things will be more attracted to some people. So that's kind of where I go with this. Now, I got some news for the channel. I do want to let you guys know that the sponsorship is still on. Everything's still coming. The item will be shipped soon. I'm hoping either this week or next week to be announcing what's going to happen at 500 subscribers. Now get your chance, because there's only 500 subscribers. I only get a couple comments per video, so you have a very, very, very high chance to get these free items, which is really, really cool and I'm really excited about. Also, there's more things coming with the channel. I have more vlogs, I have more other things to come. Let me know what you guys want to see, if it's more Mazda Speed stuff, more car stuff, more vlog stuff, more edits, whatever. I have tons of edits and I have a bunch of things booked and ready to go with that. Make sure you guys are liking and commenting and subscribing on every video because that helps me a lot. I do have a huge dream to become a photographer and videographer on my own. Doing this is what helps me get to that dream. Go ahead, I'm actually gonna put my Instagram right here, maybe, yeah, right there. And go ahead and give that a follow. If you guys want to see some of my pictures and everything like that, or have any other questions, you guys can DM my Instagram. I'm more than happy to help you guys and answer those questions. Other than that, guys, you guys have an amazing freaking day, and I'm out.